So the parents of the school shooter are now in custody. This story is not over yet. Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. Ethan Crumbleys is the name of the student who earlier this week in Oxford, Michigan, went to school and killed several of his fellow students, 4 students, injured 7 other people, most of them students, one of them a teacher. It's bad. It was a bad situation, clearly. 4 kids dead, 6 kids injured, a teacher injured. There were warning signs. Before the shooting, Ethan Crumbleys had already met with school administrators with concerning issues concerning his behavior and his state of mind and homicidal ideations that he was expressing. They had also met with his parents that day, the day that he went on this murder spree. Administrators met with him and his parents. Now, what I had said was, it's going to be interesting on an issue that comes up. Hey, to the school, why wasn't he in police custody? If you believe that this kid represented a threat, why did you not contact the authorities as opposed to just contacting his parents? You can contact his parents too, and you can let his parents know, yes, he's in police custody. You can go down to either the precinct or the hospital, wherever he's been taken, and find out more details there. But instead, they met with the parents, and this is where things started unraveling and coming out about what the parents' role in this entire situation was. So as I said, his parents are in custody. Why are they in custody? They're in custody because several things that they did make it seem that they could have prevented this from happening. It shows, at the very least, that they exhibited a significant amount of just not giving a damn in order to prevent tragedy from occurring. One of those things that they did or didn't do was when they were contacted and meeting with the school about his drawings and his intention to murder people, they were told that they had 48 hours to get him into some kind of therapy. I don't know how the conversation went. It's being implied that they were less than receptive to the message, and instead of taking home with them, as was suggested, it should have been required, but as suggested, they decided, no, he's going to stay in school, and they went without him. Later on, he goes on his shooting spree, and their actions at that point are also further pointing to why the prosecutor has chosen to charge them. Because at that point, one of the things that happens, he starts shooting, it goes public. His mother sends a text message to him saying, don't do it. It is kind of an odd text message to send after the shooting has already occurred. We'll get to why I believe she sent that in a little bit. The father also goes back to the house, finds that this particular gun is not in the house, and contacts the authorities saying, oh, I think my son may be the shooter. Once again, we're going to talk about later on why I think that he did that. But the prosecutor did a press conference yesterday. Karen McDonald did a press conference where she talked about the reasoning behind why she charged the parents. With each of them are charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. She spoke about how there had been a troubling pattern and the school had been in contact and attempted to contact the parents about his behavior, and they were not responsive. In some cases, just like, okay, whatever. In some cases, just ignoring the school's attempts to communicate with them completely. For instance, they had sent an email to the mother and no response. They had complained about him looking up ammo, getting caught in school, searching for ammo, and his mother texting him, LOL, I'm not mad at you, just don't get caught. Additionally, they pointed to messages, I think on social media, where the mother talks about taking her son out with his new Christmas present. Also, the father taking Ethan Crumbly with him to buy that handgun that was used in the shooting. So the question is whether or not that gun was bought for the father and Ethan there, or whether it was actually a present for him. And the prosecutor, Karen McDonald's, the way she's lining everything up seems to indicate that they're saying it was Ethan's gun. The parents bought him the gun that he used to murder a bunch of people. That's why the parents are being charged. But it was interesting during this press conference that they asked Karen McDonald a question. The question they asked her is, are the parents in custody yet? I would not have thought to ask that question. Why? Because I would have assumed if you're going public with this information, you have to have them in custody. I would just naturally assume that. Well, silly me, because they didn't have them in custody. And as a result of them going public, it later turned out that while they were supposed to turn themselves in, they didn't show up. At that point yesterday, APPs were put out on them. The marshals, the U.S. Marshals, in addition to the police, were now searching for them. They were putting out a description of the van and offering a reward for information leading to their arrest. Their attorney came forward and says, hey, no, they're not running. They're on their way back to turn themselves in. They were supposed to be arriving at about 4:30, 5 o'clock. I'm guessing Michigan time, Central time. That deadline came and went, and they were still not in custody. In fact, it wasn't until early this morning that they were brought into custody. The police found them in a commercial building, apparently hiding in a basement room. So as the chief that they were talking to, they asked him, did it look like they were turning themselves in? He says, yeah, this does not, hiding in a building in a basement room doesn't look like the behavior of somebody that's trying to turn themselves in. So now they're in custody. Now their actions, even after the fact, continue to make them look very bad. The interesting thing that I want to point out is what I'm realizing about why they did those things, why his mother sent the text, don't do it, and why the father contacted the police. My gun is missing. My son could be responsible, could have it, and could be the shooter at the school. They were covering their asses. They knew they had up royally, and they were attempting to cover their asses, which says something about how horrible these people actually are. Like these aren't just horrible parents. These are horrible people. Like you are, if you actually bought this gun for your son, who's not even in a good state of mind, who's homicidal, who's expressing homicidal ideations, who's being like, you've got the school telling you about issues he's having, and he's expressing this desire to kill people, and you're like, hey, I know we need to get him. Let's get him a gun. Y'all are some like just horrible human beings. Horrible human beings. And then when the shit hits the fan, your instinct is, how do we make ourselves not look as guilty? And you try to, after the fact, don't do it. Yeah, that's something you could have done prior. Like that's something like, don't do it is something you could have told the son before he actually started murdering people. And the father, looking for the gun after the shooting, is like, yeah, once again, at the very least, this was like just horrible negligence. But it seems like people who were just very permissive and didn't really give a damn what happened to other people. They were just like, after the fact, oh man, this could look bad on us. This could blow back on us. Let's cover our asses. They're in custody. I'm curious to see where this goes. I don't know if these charges are actually going to stick. Because yeah, these people could be horrible people and they could have exhibited a great deal of negligence. But the question is, do the prosecutors, does the government, the police actually have the right amount of evidence to prove their case? Because we can think it, we can believe it, but the government still has to prove it. As always, don't forget to give me the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you disagree with me and you think, no, these parents aren't responsible for this and they had nothing to do with this, it's just the prosecutor making stuff up, which, hey, you know what? You could be right. It wouldn't be the first time the prosecutors manufactured a story. But if that's the case, if you disagree with me, go ahead and give me a thumbs down. And since YouTube is playing this game with hiding dislikes, write in the comment section dislike, but state why you dislike the video so I can address it either in the comment section or in a future video. Also, I wanted to point out in the postscript one other thing. You know how after the Kyle Rittenhouse case, a lot of people were saying, oh, the Kyle Rittenhouse effect is going to have people running around murdering people, having kids running around. Listen, I'm not saying the kid murdering people is the Kyle Rittenhouse effect. I will, however, suggest that if the parents did buy him the gun, that was part of the Kyle Rittenhouse effect, because they saw this kid engaging in a straw purchase where you had his older friend, sister's boyfriend, buy him the gun and hold it for him. And I believe that they looked at this and said, hey, we can do that. We just put it in our name, act like it's ours, and give it to him. So that aspect of it may be the Kyle Rittenhouse effect. What the kid did, I do not think it's a Kyle Rittenhouse effect. It has nothing to do with Kyle Rittenhouse. And I am not at all in any way equating what this murderous little bastard did with what Kyle Rittenhouse did, because I think Kyle Rittenhouse had a legitimate claim of self-defense. I just think that, especially in the case with Rosenbaum, he didn't have the authority to use lethal force. I'll see you next time.